Hey, I'm Mark Allen. Thanks for watching a 4-color commentary. Wanted to start it's kind of a series, probably maybe 3 or 4. I've got quite a stack here, but 3 or 4 videos, perhaps of New Year videos, talking about beginnings. A New Year is always kind of it's full of hope and you know, it's kind of a fresh start feeling. And so for this beginning of 2022, it's weird even saying that, I wanted to talk about some beginnings that I have in my collection that I'm really happy to have. And like I say, I have quite a stack. Some of these will be, you'll appreciate, some of you may not appreciate as much because they'll be very nostalgic, but all of them will appeal to somebody. And so I'm going to start off with a couple of comics news magazines. You know I like those because you know I like comics history. But start off with this July 1980 issue #1 of the Comic Times. The wonderful John Romita cover on there with all these great John Romita illustrated characters. Most of them, anyway, are John Romita. Thor is, Torch is, I believe Spider-Man is. The Thing, probably, it looks like. With the Hulk, hard to tell. And Captain America, I'm not sure. But anyway, just some neat illustrations on there for the Comic Times. 1980 July issue #1. Great beginning there. And if you're like me and you like comic book news and history and stuff like that, you can appreciate that kind of thing. And there we go. All right. Next is one more comic news magazine, and that is from January. Let's see, January of 1981. Okay, so the next year, Comic Scene #1 with another Marvel cover. Got Jim Shooter, Stan Lee, surrounded by illustrated Marvel heroes and villains there, with the Hulk blowing out the candles. You gotta love that. And blowing out the candles because it is Happy Birthday Marvel. I'm not sure, 81. That would have been 20-year anniversary, I suppose. So anyway, cool cover there. Neat book to have. Some great stuff inside it, but it's just kind of another great beginning to have in my collection. All right, next we go on to the actual comics. This first one is one that I came across for surprisingly affordably several years ago on eBay. This is a volume 1, #1 of 3-Dimension Comics. This is the first this is the first 3D comic with Mighty Mouse, of course. There was a reprint of this very issue done directly after, I believe, or like a month or two after. But this was a short-lived series. There was at least one other book done that was 3D after this. So anyway, a great beginning there. I'm happy to have in my collection. All right, a couple of magazine comics. This first one is one that you may not have heard of before. It's not one that you see floating around out there a lot. Looking for the Indicia. I had it before. Okay, this is a 1981 publication by Astral Comics. I don't know that there was any more than one, but this is Galaxia #1 with a very cool Rich Buckler cover on the front, and Rich Buckler had a lot to do with the interiors as well. But this is a #1. In fact, Buckler and Dick Giordano inking. Okay, and so Galaxia #1. That's the one I have is the only one I've ever seen in the wild, and so neat beginning to have, and so glad to have that, and glad to share it with you. All right, so there's that. Next is one I got just about a year ago. Really happy to have this one. Again, this is another one. I don't know if there was another one done. This is a #1. This is the Legion of Monsters. Okay, Legion of Monsters. This is a Curtis magazine. And so great Neil Adams cover there on the front. And gotta love that. Let's see, make sure I was right about the public. Okay, Magazine Management Company. Published by Magazine Management in 1975. So again, another shot of that Neil Adams cover with Amphibian, Frankenstein, Dracula. Great stuff there, okay? So a great beginning there, and really enjoy that book. One more magazine size. This is a Seaboard Publications, about the time, or the same time that Atlas, back in the 70s, was trying to do the Marvel thing, and you know, kind of a mostly revenge-driven, vengeance-driven company, which, you know, that's never a good business model. What's your business model? Revenge. That doesn't work. Okay, so anyway, this is Volume 1, Number 1, February 1975, of Thrilling Adventure Stories. I also have the second issue, which is a beautiful Neil Adams cover, but this is a great beginning for a New Beginnings or a New Year video. Okay, New Year is a new beginning. These are great beginnings I'm showing you here. All right, get that back in there. Why is getting a comic back in the bag always easier when you're not on camera? Okay, all right, starting with the actual comics. No particular, well, alphabetical order, but no particular order as far as importance. But this book, Alpha Flight number 1. When this book came out, I was still a kid. It was 1983. I was a freshman in high school. Was a big fan of John Byrne's X-Men, Chris Claremont and John Byrne's X-Men, which had already come to an end. But I enjoyed the books, and that's a run that I've had a few times in my comics collecting career or hobby, life, whatever. And I was really a fan of this team. And so when the word came out through Marvel Age, the Marvel Age magazine, that he was going to do, that Byrne was going to do a series, I was very excited. And I'll never forget seeing that cover on the shelf of the one of the comic shops that I went to at the time, the main one. But anyway, so that one is very nostalgic to me. You can talk about, the quality of the series itself can be debated. Byrne's approach, it was certainly singular, it was certainly interesting, but you know, the cover is great, the book's great, it's very nostalgic for me. I love it. Now, this next one is a Silver Age Marvel. It is one that I had for a long time and finally went back and acquired recently. This is Amazing Adventures number 1, featuring the Inhumans and the Black Widow. I believe this was Black Widow's first series that had solo Black Widow stories in it. And it may be the first solo Black Widow story at all. I'm not sure about that. But you got great Jack Kirby Inhumans art. You got great John Buscema Black Widow art. And it actually looks like each artist did the respective boxes there. It looks like Jack Kirby did the Inhumans on the cover and John Buscema did Black Widow there. So anyway, great stuff there. A great beginning to a series that ran for a while, you know. Also, and then next is Astonishing Tales number 1, with what looks like, I believe, a Severin cover, but I can't see on there whether it was John or Marie or whether it's a Severin at all. But the Kazar and Kazar and Craven look like Severin illustrations. But anyway, inside you have a Jack Kirby Kazar story and a Wally Wood Doc Doom story. So great stuff there and a great beginning there. You gotta love great beginnings, first issues. This next one was a breath of fresh air when it came out in the 90s. I'm not going to be specific on most of these, but when it came out in the 90s, breath of fresh air, and that was Kurt Busiek's Astro City, an Image publication. And this was one of those. This was the first superhero universe in quite a while at that point that really felt like it had some life in it. And quite honestly, in this age of comic book movies, I'm surprised a movie has not yet been done for this. And I apologize for the freezing up of the video. I'm not sure why it's doing that. But anyway, I'm not sure why an Astro City movie hasn't been done, but I'm confident that at some point one will be done. All right, this next one is pure nostalgia because I loved the TV show as a kid. This one is looks like, well, I'm not going to be able to get a year out of it. But anyway, 1980s. This is the A-Team. First issue of the A-Team, which was a 4-issue, I believe, limited series. And but great stuff there. I've got two copies of this, actually. This is the brighter one. But, you know, you got to love the characters, especially B.A. Baracus. But you got Face, and you got Murdoch, and you got Hannibal, and they just, you know, one of the things I note this TV show for today is never been a show where so many shots were fired and so few people hit. Okay, so it's nice that everybody was such bad shots on that. Nobody, you know, hardly anybody got hurt, and I'm not sure anybody ever got killed. Okay, all right. This next one is a Bronze Age. and it got a great Mike Grell cover on it. This is Batman Family #1. Another #1, of course, because we're talking about beginnings on this New Year video. Okay, so Batman Family #1. I started years ago trying to get all of the Batman Family issues, and I still have a few to go. Love that great square bound cover. Beautiful. I mean, square bound spine. Beautiful spine there. In good shape. You can tell even through the bag. In good shape there. So great book there. Great beginning. It was also the origin of and the first Robin Batgirl team up. So that was kind of cool too. All right. Kind of a goofy comic, and there's a few goofy comics throughout this video. This is a, let me take this out so I can be exact about the comic company, okay? And I'm not going to be able to be exact about the comic company. This is a Carl Burgos creation. Trying to find a, well, someone out there is going to have to help me with the comic book company that did this. But this is the Captain Marvel you never wanted to hear about, okay? This is the Captain Marvel who I believe was a robot and could cause his body to fly into different pieces, okay, by saying split, okay? Not Shazam, but split, okay? And so he had a very coarse, drab, boring costume there with an M on his chest. How imaginative. But it's still, just for the goofiness, it's great. And look at this. Look at this. It also guest stars Plastic Man, okay? But it's not the Plastic Man you know. It's not the Plastic Man you ever wanted to know. It's a Plastic Man who has an equally boring costume, but it's in green, okay? And so there's your Plastic Man. Right there you go. See? Plastic Man. Doesn't he look like a Plastic Man? Sure he does. Okay, so anyway, that's Captain Marvel #1. Publication, or published, again, I'm not finding a year. There's no indicia. And that may have been to keep from, try to avoid a lawsuit. I'm not sure. But 1960s, it's a Silver Age book. One of you out there who's more detail-oriented, can tell me what, can fill in the blanks on that. All right. This one is a great beginning to have because it's a historical book in my mind. This is Dark Horse Presents #1, published in 1986. This is with Black Cross. This is the first appearance of Paul Chadwick's Concrete, first appearance of Black Cross, and this is the first publication for Dark Horse ever. And with Dark Horse now being bought out or acquired by another larger company, it's even more significant, I think, to have this book. I'm not claiming that this will ever be like having the first Marvel publication, like having a copy of Marvel Comics or something like that. I'm not saying that. But it is a cool piece historically because it's the first publication of a serious, long-running now comic book company. It is, unfortunately, the second print, but that's okay with me. I mean, in this case, I don't care. Just kind of to have it is kind of cool. So a neat beginning there, okay? Another one. You know how I love John Byrne, and this is I believe 1975 Doomsday #1. And so early John Byrne title for Charlton Comics, and Byrne, you've heard me say before, Byrne, I love his early work because nobody ever appeared hungrier than John Byrne. John Byrne seemed like he didn't just get better every comic. It was almost as if he was getting better every panel. And so just amazing how he improved in such a short time, how much he improved in such a short time. But his early art was so visceral and so cool that it was just a lot of fun to look at. So anyway, neat beginning there. And here's another goofy one from Dell Comics. This is the issue #1 of Dracula. Okay, Dracula becomes a superhero. I'm not going to bore you with the origin story or anything like that. It's just kind of a cool beginning because it's so goofy. Okay, first of all, to attempt to make Dracula a hero, goofy, but the attempt itself, pretty bad. Okay, so there's that. So some neat beginnings there. Let's see, a couple other neat beginnings, and then I'll sign off till the next video. But Eclipse Monthly #1. I've covered this book before. It's a very important book in my mind, even though you can get it now, which is a good thing. You can get it now for next to nothing still, even on eBay, I believe. But you have two first appearances here. You have a first appearance of Rio, by Doug Wiley, who is a Golden Age comic book artist, as well as the creator of Johnny Quest. If you're a Johnny Quest fan, this is a very cool book to have, just because this is a first appearance of a Doug Wiley character. It's a very cool character. And then there's also the first appearance of a Steve Ditko character, Static, who actually has a pretty loyal following among hardcore Steve Ditko fans. And so, of course, hardcore Steve Ditko fans collect everything Ditko did, practically. But anyway, a neat book, undervalued, I believe, because you've got first appearances of characters by two Golden Age or guys who worked in the comic book business at the beginning or in the Golden Age. So, very cool book. All right, these next two are actually reprint books, but still, to me, very cool to have. The first one is Fantasy Masterpieces #1, which reprints Silver Surfer #1, which you know and I know is a nearly impossible book to get anymore in any kind of high grade, because it's gone up so much. Well, I got this just a year or two ago for $1. Found almost the entire run of Fantasy Masterpieces, minus just one issue, for $1 a piece. And I jumped at it. And so, anyway, so cool book there. And one other before I finish, and that is going again, keeping in the beginnings. The beginnings I'm happy to have in my collection in this new year, and that is the Fantasy Masterpieces Volume 1, #1. That was Fantasy Masterpieces Volume 2. This is #1 with more reprints. I said they were both reprint books, and they are, but great stuff there. Reprints of Golden Age, timely stories and such, and just really a lot of fun book there. Glad to have that. Love the Marvel reprint books up all the way up into the 70s, and so great stuff there. And love the beginnings books, and especially for a new year. And that's it for now. I will continue this in at least one other video, but thanks for watching. If you like the video, go ahead and hit the like button. If you haven't subscribed, do that too. And anyway, other than that, just keep enjoying the hobby. And I do wish you and your family a very, very happy and prosperous 2022. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you again real soon.